Right off the bat, I'll say that this is a good drive. If you're here to get validation that the thing you've already bought is actually a good choice, you have it. Those that actually want to know a bit more about the Silicon Power XS70 Gen4x4 SSD will stick around. Silicon Power claim that this drive can run up to 7.3 gigabytes per second on reads and an impressive 6.8 gigabytes per second on writes too. It comes in either 1 terabyte, which is the one I have, 2 terabyte or 4 terabyte sizes, with good terabyte written ratings for each of those two, with 700, 1400 and 3000 terabyte written respectively. It even comes with a heatsink pre-installed, which is actually pretty subtle in design, but definitely effective. Taking a closer look at the heatsink, you'll notice that it's actually removable. It's not glued on like some of the other drives, meaning if you want to use it with, say, your motherboard's heatsinks that come on the board, that are now very common to find actually, you absolutely can. It's a bit of a pain to get it off, but I appreciate Silicon Power putting in the effort here. I do think I prefer the heatsink to be pre-installed if it's going to come with one, although so many boards now having heatsinks installed themselves can make compatibility with a heatsink that's pre-installed a little more frustrating. With the heatsink off, you can also see what makes up the drive. Primarily a Phison E18 controller paired with some good quality SK Hynix DRAM as a cache, alongside four, at least in this case, four 256GB TLC NAND flash chips. You can also see on the backside where the extra chips that you'd get on likely the 4 terabyte model would go, including an extra DRAM chip as well. Now let's get this in a system and tested, starting with some of the synthetic benchmarks. The important caveat to the performance that you'll see here is that this is the 1 terabyte model, which, especially for the write performance, is often slower than the larger capacity drives. That helps explain why even in Crystal Disk Mark, the program that always gives the highest, flashiest numbers, this could only muster 5.8 gigabytes per second, a full gigabyte per second lower than the quoted figure. The sequential queue depth of 1 results aren't quite as high either, with the read numbers being under half that of the queue depth of 8 run instead. Compared to a similar drive from MSI, the Spatium M480, the XS70 runs almost 1 gigabyte per second slower there, although it does excel in the random 4K tests, at least by comparison. When it comes to ASSSD, you'll generally find the XS70 on the podium positions here. It's generally the second fastest drive I've tested, and remember that this is the 1 terabyte model, whereas the Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus is the 2 terabyte one, making for better performance in particular. It's closely tied with the MSI M480 1 terabyte in my testing, likely thanks to both drives being basically identical in specs. There are a few slight discrepancies, but overall it's pretty close. And in ATTO, the XS70 is in purple here, and it's almost identical to the M480. Seriously, look at the write performance. The two lines match almost identically. Even the read performance is pretty similar and is mostly capped along with the same level as the rest of the sort of full-fat Gen 4x4 drives, so definitely a good choice. In my more real-world stress test, duplicating a 100GB file set on the drive to stress reads and writes simultaneously, I'm happy to report that the XS70 ran around 2 gigabytes per second for the first 200 gigabytes, which is as good as I've seen from similar drives like the M480 or Rocket 4 Plus. It does fill up its SLC cache after about 200 or so gigabytes of data, meaning performance dropped to more like 750 megabytes per second on average, but that's a pretty healthy result, and that's only when you've written over 200 gigabytes to the drive at once, so I can't really complain too much there. So in short, this is a pretty good drive. I'm also happy to report that it's listed for a pretty reasonable price too, right around what a WD SN850 or Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus would cost, often without their heat sinks either, so that actually might make this a slightly better value. Obviously, if you don't need or want a heatsink, as most motherboards do now come with their own, including some of the higher ones coming with double-sided heatsinks, this does sort of present a touch more setup fuss to remove the included one, but generally I would say that that's better than the few that do just glue the heatsinks down, so yeah, solid recommendation for me. And as always, there will be a global Amazon affiliate link in the description if you want to check one out or pick one up yourself. With that said, those are my thoughts, but I would love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think of the XS70? Is it a drive you'd pick up yourself? Would you go with one of the other ones that I've mentioned or something else entirely? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'd also like to hear your thoughts on the kind of wide range of drives that come with that Phison E18 controller and, well, and a DRAM cache and, TLC NAND. Is there much that differentiates them for you? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to see more videos like this one, you can hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification icon. You can also check out plenty of other reviews on the end cards, like SSD reviews, motherboards and CPUs, graphics cards, a few DIY projects as well. So yeah, feel free to check that out. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so through YouTube, Patreon, pick up a hoodie or a t-shirt like this one, or a load of other designs that I made myself, or there's other affiliate links in the description for places like Overclock UK if you're buying from there. Otherwise, that's kind of it. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next video.